This is today, Monday's update on Eastern Kentucky flooding, certainly the most devastating and deadly flooding event of my lifetime. As we sit here this morning, still sitting at 39 confirmed fatalities across 5 counties, continues to be 8 in Breathitt, 2 in Clay, 19 in Knott, 3 in Letcher, 7 in Perry. But we continue to have 2 missing persons, both women from Breathitt County, Vanessa Baker and Nancy Cundiff. There was a number of teams searching this weekend. They did not find either of them. I know concern is significant about the welfare of these 2 individuals. If you have any information, please contact Post 13 in Hazard 606-435-6069. I think people are losing hope, but we can certainly pray for a miracle with regards to these 2 individuals. As you look at our path towards ultimate rebuilding, we talked last week about 3 major phases. The emergency phase, which we have primarily moved through, the stabilization phase, which we are entering, in the rebuilding phase, which is certainly going to take us the next year plus. Recapping the emergency phase, most important part of that is search and rescue. Well, we've lost at least 39 Kentuckians, over 1,334 rescues between the Kentucky National Guard, Tennessee National Guard, West Virginia National Guard, Kentucky State Police, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, and thousands of additional rescues by Kentucky neighbors helping out their neighbors. The next thing you want to do in an emergency response is get people somewhere safe, a roof over their head where you can feed them. That is sheltering. We still have 157 survivors in 5 shelters that 20 local organizations, churches, schools, community centers have opened up. This is one of our last pieces of the emergency phase, getting these 157 survivors into more interim, stable housing. Certainly more on the stabilization side. We have 313 people in our state parks, 171 in Jenny Wiley, 4 in Paintsville State Park, 4 in Pine Mountain, and 134 in Buckhorn. Now, as we move through the stabilization phase, we will want to get these folks out of the direct lodging in the state park and into travel trailers or rentals or other housing that we know can be there for the next 6 months to a year. So speaking of that, and this really moves from emergency to stabilization, we have now 94 travel trailers that have reached locations in Eastern Kentucky. Those include 25 at Jenny Wiley, that's in Floyd County, 24 at Carr Creek in Knott County, 30 at Mine Made Campground in Knott County, 15 in Crockettsville Campground, that's in Owsley County. And when we look at the registration program for travel trailers, again, moving people out of emergency shelters into stabilization, 740 people have registered for travel trailers through our Eastern Kentucky Sheltering Program. You can apply for that by visiting our flood resource website, governor.ky.gov/flood-resources, or calling 502-234-1225. Now, if you think about those numbers, you know we're going to need more travel trailers. We have a couple of options we're working right now. We know we're going to need more than 100 that we already have available, though we didn't have 94 on site in the West this quickly. We're looking at 2 major options. One involves some existing trailers that we could bring from Louisiana. The other would involve purchase of additional travel trailers throughout dealerships in Kentucky. We are working through both of those options, knowing this is going to be the stabilization phase, travel trailers and rentals. Certainly moving out of the emergency into the stabilization phase, a lot of our infrastructure work. Power, as of August the 15th, we're down to 74 outages in the area. That's down from 25,111 on July 28th. Now, obviously, that doesn't include houses that are gone or houses that are so damaged that you can't hook them up, but just 74 power outages to those that could receive power is incredible work in just over 2 weeks. Water, we're now down to 4,700 outages. That's down from over 40,000 on July 28th. Boiled water advisory, we're down to 23,947. That's down from 46,000 on July 28th. That's going to take some significant work in some of these water and sewer systems. So the stabilization phase is about getting people in a place that they know they can be for the next 6 months to a year. It's also getting them the assistance they need. One of the most important parts of that is going through the FEMA process. So last week, while grateful for a lot of the services that FEMA has provided, from search and rescue to a ton of other services on the ground, I mentioned that we needed to see more people approved for individual assistance. I had a meeting with FEMA this morning, and they have taken a number of steps that I do believe will help. Number one, we announced this previously, but I want to rehash it. They are calling everybody who is denied. Now, people need to pick up when they are called. Thus far, FEMA's tried to call 4,006 applicants. 1,508 have picked up. We are talking to them about numbers of times that they call, but please pick up your phone. Based on how hard we've pushed, they are calling, if you've been denied, to talk through the reasons so that you can fix your claim. More on that in a second. Beginning tomorrow, for the first time anywhere in America, we believe, they're starting a texting program. We know that some people don't have cell phone service in different parts where they may live or travel. So a text will give you the FEMA number to call. We'll try to connect you to an appointment, but this is another step that FEMA is doing to reach out to people that have been denied, because we don't want the process to end there. Next step, and this is a big one. The people in the disaster recovery centers now have the authority to approve claims. Before, they would take all your information, they would get your application ready, they'd say it looks good, and they would have to send it off. Now, the people on the ground that you can go in to look eye to eye with have the ability to approve claims. So, if your claim is still in process, go to one of the disaster recovery centers. If we can put them up while I'm talking, they can work on your claim. If you've been denied, also go to one of these disaster recovery centers. If it's for lack of documentation, they can tell you what documentation you need. You can probably get it in the disaster recovery center. You can come back to the FEMA table and you can get approved. This is a big deal. I talked last week about how I thought the people on the ground, these people want to help, and they're pushing hard. They got hearts of gold and they want to approve people, and how people at the very top wanted this to go better, but something was going on in the middle. Well, you know what? They've removed a lot of the middle. So this is a really important point today. The individuals in the disaster recovery center with FEMA now have more authority to approve claims right there to get them done than in the past. This is a big step where people know where they can go, where they can talk to people. So if you've gotten a denial letter, don't let it stop there. If you've gotten a denial email, go into the disaster recovery center. Also, in at least some of the mobile units that are going home to home, not all yet because of their number of personnel, there may be someone on site there that can give approval and ultimately approve a claim right then and right there. What that means is you need to have all your documentation. If you have an appointment for somebody to come and see your property where it's been damaged, because it gives you the best chance to fully get through the system if one of those folks is there. Even if they're not, that gives you the best chance of moving through the process. FEMA has said they've got more capacity to see people day in and day out in these centers than they have people showing up. So again, let me say this I think is a pretty big deal. It hadn't been done anywhere before Kentucky. Now go see somebody in these disaster recovery centers or call the FEMA hotline. If we can put that up, people want to talk through your claim with you. They've been trying likely to reach you. Maybe you haven't connected, but if you have been denied, let's not stop it there. Call that number. Thus far, 9,285 households have registered for individual assistance, and people are still registering. We want to help as many people as possible. So I think I said the other day, appeal, appeal, appeal. You may not even have to file a formal appeal if you will call the number and talk through. Folks can open up your claim and talk to you about the challenges in it, what is still needed, or what you may have answered. Maybe you didn't mean to answer something a certain way that can impact your claim. Or let's go back to the centers again. Go to any of these disaster recovery centers and talk to a FEMA person there. They now have more power to help you than they have ever had, and I know they want to, and those on the ground have always wanted to. So as a recap, 12 counties have been approved for individual assistance and disaster unemployment assistance. 13 counties have been approved for public assistance. That's more of public infrastructure, government type of damages. Residents in 4 counties are eligible for direct temporary housing assistance. Survivors in all AI designated counties may apply for $500 in critical needs assistance. This is getting out there, about $1.36 million. FEMA has done a good job at getting at least this $500 in people's hands. The Clean and Sanitize program provides $300 per applicant in IA designated counties. More people could get this, so please be aware of it. All programs, you can go in and talk to someone in the disaster recovery centers. You can go to one of the mobile registration centers. They are now open in Magoffin and Owsley counties from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Magoffin County today, Magoffin County Health Department, and Owsley County, the Owsley Rec Center. All right, so one last time, because we want people to go and talk to the FEMA folks at these places. We have 7 disaster recovery locations that are now open where you can get help with your FEMA claim, where you can replace your driver's license, where many of which where you can apply for disaster unemployment, which I'll talk about in a minute. One of these is called a multi-agency resource center. That's the one in Floyd County. We are preparing to open more disaster recovery centers. Do we have those up? That'll be in Leslie, Magoffin, Martin, Owsley, and Whitley counties, and these are the locations that those will be opening. All right, as of August 10th, FEMA's approved about $19.4 million for 2,701 households, but I think everybody in this instance wants to do better. We are seeing steps taken, so let's see how this new step works. My goal is to be relentless and pushing for the people of Kentucky. We need this to work. FEMA's got to get it right. It may take more steps, but I want to credit them with taking a couple new steps we've never seen anywhere else that I think could help people. Debris removal, 911 total loads as of Sunday. Yesterday, 173 loads in 5 counties. Counties scheduled today: Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, Knott, Letcher, Perry, and Pike. So far, 56 state and county bridges have been identified for replacement and 52 identified for repair. Through Sunday, 1,256 driver's license and state ID cards have been issued through pop-up licensing offices. Pop-up offices are at Hazard Community College, the Knott County Sportsplex, and a new location, the Disaster Recovery Center, inside the Letcher County Recreation Center in Whitesburg. Debris pickup announcement. Flood victims needing debris to be picked up can place most types of debris on state and county right-of-way in front of their homes. The debris needs to be sorted. Construction and demolition materials, that's one pile, such as drywall, asphalt, shingles, floor, tiles, rugs, and furniture. Electronic waste is a second pile. Household hazardous waste, paints, cleaners, oils, pesticides, and batteries must be secured in a non-leak container. That needs to be in a third pile. Large appliances need to be separate, those are refrigerators, stoves, washers, and dryers. And in a separate one, vegetative debris, trees and limbs, brush and leaves. We're asking everybody to follow this because it's one of the things that allows us to be able to pick it up. If we make it harder on those that are picking up debris by not sorting it, not having the right things out there, then we slow it down for everybody else. The state debris removal contractor will not pick up regular household trash or recyclables, so don't put those out in the same groups. Disaster unemployment assistance is available to claimants in the 12 Eastern Kentucky counties approved for individual assistance. You can apply online through kcc.ky.gov, by phone 502-875-0442. The deadline is September the 6th. Those looking for in-person assistance can get help at the following Disaster Recovery Center locations from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The locations are on our website. We also have an OUI Mobile Workforce Center available at the following locations from 10 to 4 through Wednesday. Prestonsburg is today at the Food City. Tomorrow, it's going to be at the Food City at Whitesburg, and Wednesday in Jackson at the IGA. Disaster unemployment claimants who are self-employed will have 21 days from the date they complete the DUA application to provide proof for income. Preferred documentation is your most recent tax return or W-2, though if you're self-employed, you probably don't have a W-2. However, other supporting documentation may be accepted. Disaster recovery centers, I'm going to show them again because they are that important about people getting services. These are the ones that are open. You got driver's license services. You got other government services, a number of them to help out, SNAP benefits in most of these and others. And FEMA is there, ready to talk to you about your claim, wanting to help, preparing to open. Let's show it one more time. And getting everybody through this process, so important for the stabilization phase. Rebuilding, we're not there yet, but we know it's going to include housing and innovative ideas for housing, addressing private bridges, addressing resiliency overall to make sure our people never have to be in this level of harm's way. Long-term rebuilding also takes dollars. Our Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, now 3,709 donations, a little over $6.2 million. Thus far, we've paid for 37 of the 39 funerals, and I know working on the others. All right, so most of today's big news certainly involves new steps that FEMA's taking, and we'll continue to push them to take steps. But I do believe that we can get more people accepted. We can undo denials by looking at somebody face-to-face who has approval authority over the claims themselves. Just remember, they've got a checklist that has to be filled too under the law. So it's not their fault if you need an extra document or two. Let us help you find it. And everybody there wants to get you approved if possible. All right, opening up to questions. We got Bodie Brooks here in studio.
Thank you, Governor. We're learning of additional deaths that may be related to flooding, people who have taken their own lives that were victims of the flood. I'm curious if you can expand on some of the mental health resources that are available, and if you were looking at making more resources available. In a follow-up, sir, is there any update on a possible special session?
So special session, I believe is, will happen. Everybody is committed to it. We are having in-depth conversations about what the legislation itself looks like. My hope is we could see it in the next, within the next 4 weeks. Within the next, it all depends on coming to an agreement and how quickly we can do it. Though it's everybody is just trying to be constructive and to get it in the best place possible. Mental health. I mean, our brains and our body are not designed to withstand the type of trauma that these individuals have been through. I mean, losing absolutely everything that you may have scrapped for 10, 20 years, losing family members, just the grief, probably the feelings of hopelessness, of how daunting it is to start over is so challenging. That's why we have mental health resources at these disaster recovery centers, people that are there ready to talk to you. But we're also promoting them through all of these communities to the first responders and the government service workers as well. Getting internet back up allows telehealth in ways that some people don't want to walk in and sit down with somebody, but maybe they'll talk to somebody over Zoom. We have seen more people getting mental health services since that's been there. Certainly working on it in terms of when school gets back up and running for the kids of the region and everything that they have been through too. You know, we're recognizing it, which is a great step. I mean, after a whole lot of these, we focus on the physical trauma, the lost house, the lost person, the broken leg, but the mental and emotional trauma are very real too. Tom Latek from Kentucky Today, who celebrated a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Tom.
Well, thank you, Governor. I appreciate that. FEMA is going to be holding a press release, well, a phone press release here in about at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And if you were a reporter attending that, what would you like to ask FEMA?
I would ask them about the new steps that they are taking so that they can better communicate with people and hopefully accept more claims and ultimately provide more dollars. You know, one major challenge with FEMA is if your application is incomplete or you haven't provided a document that they need, you get denied, and it shouldn't be that. And I think leadership in FEMA knows this. It's been there forever, and sometimes change is hard. It ought to be pending. It ought to be incomplete. A denial has a very emotional response, rightfully so, from the person who receives it when they've already been through too much. But I think I would ask about the approval authority of the people on the ground. And hopefully I didn't announce everything that they're going to beforehand. If I did, tell them I was just enthusiastic that we are seeing new changes. And then I'd ask, you know, what the different additional steps that may be taken. But I will say, even in a span of the last, 4 days, since I've voiced some of my frustration, they have really looked at it. They have taken some steps. Now we want to see results, and I'm going to continue to be tough until the results are where they need to be. But glad to see these steps are being taken. And I want to make sure I say the people on the grounds in these communities wearing those FEMA shirts want to help you. If you're denied, it's not their fault. They want to help you change it. But I want to thank every single FEMA employee that is on the ground in any of our communities. You know, they're living right there next to the people that need help, trying to help them. Josh James, WKY.
Thanks, Governor. Piggybacking on that first question on the special session, could you elaborate on what, if anything, the state might be able to do to fill in the gaps you're seeing with FEMA? I know the hope is that that might be less of an issue with the progress you mentioned today, but are there any specific ideas on how the state might help those who do slip through the cracks?
Well, certainly the legislation that you're going to see should start as at least an overall framework with the Western Kentucky SAFE Act and what that's been able to do there. Now, I will say that we were able to do a lot with the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund, including payments above and beyond where FEMA paid out too little to people. We were able to help with those that were insured that thus weren't going to get FEMA, but had still suffered significant losses. We were able to help renters in different ways as well. We'll have to look, trying to bring together all of the major nonprofits that are helping here, because there are more funds that have been set up and are being advertised that have people partnering with them in the East than there were in the West, which means we're going to have real coordination to provide the same level of help. I will say that the the back end of this, which is the rebuilding, is real challenging. Almost no one with insurance or flood insurance. Too many people living in an area that could flood again and cause harm to them or their children. And that's why we're really trying to think in innovative ways about what the future could look like, where you place schools that have been destroyed, where we put government services. This is a chance, because we have to really think about what a community can look like in the future, knowing that we've got to better protect people for the next time that this happens. Tessa Duvall from the Herald Leader.
Hi, Governor. Did FEMA ever provide any information on how many claims had been denied and the reasons for those? And can you tell us a little bit about what happened behind the scenes to make these changes, first in the nation changes take place in this process?
Well, let me answer the second part of that first. And that's that I think FEMA hurt us, and that's everybody. I think they see the stories of people that are suffering. I think they hear the frustration of lawmakers, and and this was them going back and looking. It's the people on the ground here pushing the rest of FEMA. Those are FEMA workers on the ground, asking to be able to do more. I'd say that they've hurt us. Now, we don't know that these are enough steps yet, but we're going to be able to see the numbers hopefully in real time. I'm working with them to get an update, as of today, of total number of claims and how many of them are accepted. There are some that are pending, and then we got to figure out, and we're working through this right now, the different buckets and reasons for denial. If a denial has come because of a lack of documentation or not enough proof of ownership, well, I would call that an incomplete, but it comes out as a denial. So we got to get those people back in the system. I have asked for a metric of how many people that are originally denied that then get back through the system and approved, because I do believe it's happening right now, and I want to give people hope. The number of the percentage of applicants that are approved has, and I've seen numbers going from about 38 to 41 plus percent, but I want to figure out how to get those numbers right to account for those that come back later and are ultimately approved. I will say that I was told today that our approval rating right now is one of the higher in natural disasters. It doesn't give me a whole lot of comfort, because a whole lot more people than that need help, and we need that significantly increased. But we're going to work on how we can best provide a dashboard that is apples to apples about total number of registrations, and then not to complicate this, but sometimes people register twice, and we don't want that to show that as FEMA denying one when they may have approved another. There are some applications that come in where they register, but they go out to the home and there isn't enough damage in the threshold, and sometimes people agree with that, or there is a certain regulatory threshold that it has to meet. So trying to figure out the best way to create the best dashboard that shows where we are and can show FEMA improvement, which is what we want to see. But those are the numbers that I had seen originally were in the high 30s. I now think that they are in the 40s, and they are improving, though we'd like to see it improve more. FEMA may have, I guess their 3 o'clock call or 2 o'clock call, whenever they're doing it, may have newer numbers, and they certainly get them coming in. Stan Ingold from WEKU.
Thank you, Governor. The first thing I wanted to just confirm was that you mentioned that the folks on the ground with the FEMA recovery centers can approve claims. Does that include the mobile centers that are in place? And then secondly, I understand the SBA.
Only some of the mobile centers. They don't have enough of the people trained to be out in every mobile center. but each disaster recovery center and some of the mobile centers. Go ahead with your second.
I understand the SBA is opening some business recovery centers in Eastern Kentucky. I know there's a couple over the weekend. Can we expect to see more of those, and what kind of support will those be offering?
SBA is in the area. We're trying to get as many of them opened as possible. That is both because they provide help to businesses, but there's also a process, and we're working on a flow diagram to show this, where people who apply for individual assistance have to first be sent to the SBA, have to be denied by the SBA, but if they are, can come back and get individual assistance. And I know that sounds like a lot, but if that's the process, one of the ways that we can overcome those challenges where people give up is to better explain it and to show people exactly what they have to go through. The other thing is, if we can have them all in the same room, then hopefully we could expedite that as well, because I'd heard from people, and admittedly, I didn't know all this information before, that they're sent to the SBA. You know, sometimes through the law, they do have to be denied by the SBA to get that individual assistance. I think these are the 3 centers that we know are open right now. You know, looking at this, certainly we need one in Knott County. And it looks like we have one in Letcher, and it looks like we need one in Breathitt County as well. But want to make sure we have these open in as many places as possible. All right, that's today's update. One of the things that we will be tracking as we move forward are steps that FEMA is taking. We're grateful for those. Obviously, we want to see them produce results. But I did have a really productive meeting today where it was very clearly conveyed that they want results. They want to get this right, and we'll continue to push to make sure that they do.